as a side note, our son, who did not study so much and had to go by himself, was not given
Yeah, he
his
didn't pass.
citizenship.
He didn't pass.
Yeah, that's how serious they were.
Hi, I'm Christoph Kian. In these conversations, former clients share what the naturalization process was really like. The decision, the preparation, the interview, and how life has changed. I'm very happy to introduce Margaret and Dave to you. Margaret and Dave went through the process of naturalization and now share their story here on this channel. And I want to just hand over the word to Margaret and Dave. If you would like to introduce yourself first, and we do it in English, so it's not an interview question.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, good, excellent, excellent.
So please.
Hi, yeah, I'm Margaret. And
I'm Dave. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're done.
no. No, and yeah, I mean, we originally from the U.S., both originally U.S. citizens, and with our kids, our 3 kids, we moved to Switzerland about almost 20 years ago. Yeah?
Almost 20.
Actually, 20 years this year, I think, right? Or 19?
19, yeah.
19. And after we had been in our current town for 10 years, we said, we're very excited. Now we can apply for our citizenship. And that's when we started our journey.
Yeah, I think the process was more like we came to Switzerland. We really enjoyed the vast majority of Switzerland, so much so that we didn't really even imagine going back shortly after we had gotten here.
Sure.
And I think that once we had been here for a while and we sort of established a home in a neighborhood that we really enjoyed, we thought, I guess we felt a bit like something was missing. You know, like the way that I described it a bit to the Bürgerrat was, it's like we're going to a very nice dinner and we don't get to bring a dish or anything. It's, you know, like we're just at this party that we have no say at all, something like that.
Yeah, not fully included, not fully a part of being in the country that we're living in. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, go ahead.
Was that a process or a special point in time where you made that decision? Now we want to become Swiss?
No, just a general realization. Like everybody around us, very friendly, very neighborhoodly. You know, like someone goes on holiday, oh, can you watch my mail for me? Oh, can you come water my plants? And, you know, the same for us. And so it felt more like a neighborhood, but it just felt like, you know, okay, so much is involved in the democratic process here. And 4 times a year, there are votes. And you hear all of these things, and there's signs posted everywhere for all of these things that people are going to be voting on, and you can have nothing to do with it. You know, like, so you're not involved at all. You're just sort of an observer. And you're like, well, what if I don't like what this proposal is? Or what if I want to help support this? But you can't if you're not a citizen.
And you know, I think for me, we kind of knew that we wanted to stay here, right? So we were really fully really enjoying living here. And then there was this moment where I realized that I qualified now. I've been here long enough in one place, and if I met all the other qualifications, I really could become Swiss. And that's, I think, when I started getting excited and thinking, we can overcome this feeling of not being fully a part of being here.
Yeah, I think because in the beginning, it was just a sort of nebulous idea. Oh, yeah, we're here in Switzerland now. But then it became possibly concrete. Oh, you know what? We can become Swiss if we apply ourselves. Yeah.
Exactly. So. Exactly.
What do you think was the main obstacle there in the process for you? Or one of the major
well, for me, part 1, B1, you know, really feeling comfortable enough speaking in German. So that was like my first hurdle, is make sure I could do that. And then part 2 was really feeling confident enough in the information to be confident in the interview process, right? And that's, of course, where we met, right? Is to, you know, to figure out how to really feel confident in being able to have that conversation to convince folks how I really felt, you know, that this was an important thing for me.
Yeah, I think it was sort of the 2 hurdles for us. The language was the big one. especially for Margaret. Actually, I like my wife. She's very nice. She but we went through also a language, well, a test preparation course for the B1. And we had, sort of enough German to get by, and we could do okay. But in order to actually apply, you have to pass the B1 exam. And so we signed up for this test preparation course, and she became a completely different woman. Like, yeah, it was like the first time that she ate caramel corn with me. She went in the corner and ate it and wouldn't share any of it. And I said, "Who is this woman?" But when we were doing the test, like to me, I'm always a bit jokey and then talking, and she's like, "Don't talk to me. I can't. No, go away." So
Taking
I'm
the
like,
test.
Who are you? Who are you?
Focused.
So yes, so that was the big hurdle, was feeling like we were competent enough to take the test, not just take it, but to pass it.
Yeah.
And so when we passed it, I think Margaret said at that point, that's like one of the biggest achievements she's had in her life.
Yeah. The second one,
the language
test,
certification.
the B1
Yes,
test,
the language.
and the second one was actually achieving our Swiss citizenship.
Yeah. So but once we passed the language, requirement, and we were like, then we went, well, now we can do everything and apply. So we had to fill, there's lots of paperwork, and you have to go to all these different departments and sign this and have all the proof of this and that. And but then we found out that where we live is particularly difficult to get your Swiss citizenship, because it's a very small community, and it's a little bit, the restrictions here are a bit higher. They take it a lot more seriously than some places. I've heard stories of some other cantons where, they would have a phone interview with someone and, approve them or not approve them. And here we knew that we had to go in front of the Burgerrat, which is a group of 6, I think there's a secretary and 6 people on the Burgerrat.
Yeah, we just had 3.
And the day that we had to do it, we thought it was going to be 6 people, but the day we had to do it, it was only 3. But we also knew, because we had a preliminary interview with the secretary, what they would be covering, and that was all kinds of geography, the entire political process, all of the history. We had to know all of these dates. And I'm like, well, if we lived in the canton next door, we wouldn't have to worry about all that stuff. But we took it very, very seriously, especially Margaret. She studied more than anybody else in the house.
I did.
So,
but that was in part thanks to having some sparring sessions and kind of some insights into the kinds of questions or the kinds of answers, really, that, it was really more of a conversation than a test, and to be able to kind of articulate, who we are, why this mattered, why it was important to us, in addition to learning all the dates and everything like that.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that helped us was just some of the conversations with you, Christophe, was because it felt more like a conversation.
Yeah.
As opposed to a test. The B1 was a completely different thing. It was a test. You're in this room, there's a teacher, you have this right and wrong thing. And yet the interview with the Burgerrat, there was a lot of technical stuff that we had to know, but it was a conversation, and they were just throwing out information. We just had to talk to them back with, the appropriate responses. So, yeah.
Did you have any surprises in the interview? You remember any surprises in the final interview?
For me, I felt really confident. I would say the thing that I felt very fortunate about was that they were willing to have the conversation in High German instead of Swiss German. So that was a big win for me.
That helped. We interviewed as a family, except our son Riley was
separate,
older than 18, so he couldn't participate with us. He had a separate interview. But Margaret and I and 2 of our children went in all together, and there were 3 members of the Burgerrat, and they were talking Swiss German to start. And then the kids are fine in Swiss German. They went to local schools, and so they were just having a ball. And I said, es tut mir leid, aber ich kann nicht so gut Schweizerdeutsch sprechen. I can't speak Swiss German very well. And they like looked at each other and they said, it's okay,
It was really nice
we
of
can
them.
speak Hochdeutsch. So then we spoke, in High German or Schriftlich Deutsch, the rest of the time, and it made it a lot easier for us.
But they did have sort of all the topics were covered that we anticipated. As you said before, all those things were covered. And then as we got toward the end, they did throw in some questions that, if I hadn't studied so much, might have been tricky. Questions about the water and the town and the Gemeinde, and an overall trick question about which was the youngest canton in Switzerland. And but we had studied.
I remember your email. I found your email.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And what you write is you nailed the water system.
I did. I totally had that whole study.
So Margaret had, previous to the interview, in part of her research and studying, I had gone with her a couple times riding bikes.
Yeah.
And she said, we have to go find where this teich is.
We went all around.
We have to go find where this. Yeah, so we're riding our bikes through Rien so that she could find the source of this water in Rien, just in case.
Well, I wanted to have it in my mind, like a picture of it in my mind. So it was
like
a real thing, not just.
It's a very clever strategy. You go with the questions, with the interview questions, you go around, and then you just internalize the knowledge.
Yeah,
much more
exactly. To see the different buildings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was another thing that is really helpful, I think, for people who watch this. Dave, do you remember how you started the interview?
Me? Oh, yeah, for sure. I memorized all the members of the Burgerrat.
Yes.
And so I knew all their names so that it would be a little bit less formal when we went there. And so I said, we all introduced ourselves. It's a very, typical thing. And when I saw them, I could place their faces with, their names. I said, oh, Frau Neef und Herr, and I said their names, and they were like, oh, like that. So it sort of started things off on a much more friendly foot, I guess.
Yeah.
But the whole water thing was perfect, because after we had spent, 30 minutes talking and giving dates and history and locations and different neighborhoods and all of the specifics, they were looking at each other like, what can they say to stump us? And so they said, what can you tell us about the water in Rien? And it was like gold, ding, ding, ding. It was like gold medal question. I said, what? The water? And they were like, yes. I said, we have a water specialist right here.
So Dave and the two kids are like, Mom?
Yeah.
Go.
So then Mom goes, oh, dude, there's 4 teichs and this name and this name, this, and there's 4 other ones. Yeah. So, and after that, then he said, okay, very good. You guys have a good evening. And I think we got a letter like within 1 or 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
They said it could take like 2 weeks. So.
But you guys studied a little different than I did. And for me, because I felt not as confident in German, I really studied the information first in English. So I really understand the concepts of how government works and things like that. And then I began to study it in German. And I think it was even maybe you who suggested having like the questions that they would ask in the phrases that they might use in German on flashcards with the answers on the back. And so for every potential question, I probably had 1 or 2 versions of it, so that then I could really practice it in a dialogue format. And that, I think, really helped me as well, because then I wasn't so nervous trying to decipher the phrases and the sentences, and I could really understand what questions went with what answers. So
yeah,
and actually, kind of like studying for a test, but like a dialogue conversation test-ish.
Yeah. And as a side note, our son, who did not study so much and had to go by himself, was not given his citizenship.
He didn't pass.
Yeah, that's how serious they were. So a lot of people, when we tell them that, they're like, oh, how could they give part of the family and not the other? So the 4 of us had studied. Margaret had studied the most. We studied a lot together and then went in together, and I think did well. I think that Riley did okay. I think he didn't understand how difficult it was going to be and how much he was going to have to memorize. But he spoke great German, and I think that he answered a fair amount of the questions okay, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, they take it very seriously.
Even though as a total of knowledge in your family was really high, the one
Yeah.
individual was not
Yeah.
good.
So Riley was he was in a separate one, and they didn't pass him. Yeah. And he has since moved to a different canton, and he's like, well, it'll be easier now, so I'm not in Reagan. So
you picked the hard one.
Yes,
You picked the hard Gemeinde in that canton.
Yeah.
So you got the letter. Do you remember? You got the letter to
it was just within a couple of days, and it said, we're happy to welcome you.
And when you get it, they actually invite you to like a Sammlung, or like all of the people who have been given the citizenship. They're going to present them like a certificate and all of this. And unfortunately, I think Margaret was traveling then, and I think that it would have been a bit awkward for some of us to get it and some of us not. So we didn't go to it, but it's a very nice gesture that they have here, which is to welcome you to the community and to actually give you a certificate welcoming you to have re-in your Gemeinde. So so we weren't able to participate in that, but it's nice to know that that's been extended, and that that's a regular event for anybody who gets their citizenship.
Now we have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
How did you celebrate that letter?
Well, what did we do? I think we jumped around in the house a lot.
No. We ate pizza. We always celebrate with pizza.
Yeah. But actually, what's really cool is when you actually get your physical passport. Your red passport. It feels super cool. And when I travel with that, I feel it's a great feeling to be able to do that.
It's very nice.
Can you tell me a bit more about it? When you show your Swiss passport somewhere?
Well, first of all, if I don't travel to the US, I have to travel on my US passport, but when I show it to my family, it's very exciting. It's like I won a special, amazing sort of award of some sort.
She has an uncle who was looking to spend so much money to try to get a passport from some other country just so that he could potentially go somewhere else. And when he found out that she had this passport, oh, you're so lucky. And not just any country, Switzerland. Oh my God. Yes.
But it's also really, it feels really nice to be able to travel in Europe or to other countries and to be able to do that as a Swiss citizen. That's really a nice, it's a privilege.
Think about like when you don't have it yet, but soon potentially, you have your US process underway. But if you're traveling somewhere and you come back to the US and you have like your US passport and you are going through customs and you see there's the line non-US passports, there's about 3 bajillion people there. And then US passports, here, special treat, So that's the way it is when we come back to Switzerland now, because we don't even have to stop and talk to anybody. You can actually just scan your Swiss passport, and it looks at your face, and you get to walk through. And everybody else is waiting in a big line. We're like, oh, it's so good to be having our Swiss passport and come back. Yes, it's very nice.
But what I was going to tell you is this other new tradition that we are starting, because Dave and I and our other 2 kids, we vote together. So we get all our voting information that comes in the mail, and then we it's just sort of evolving, but we sort of end up sitting together at the table and going through the information and sort of like, exchanging on the different initiatives and stuff, and then sort of comparing. And it's really interesting to hear our perspective versus our kids' perspective on these different topics, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't. And then we sort of all can put our votes in together. And I think that's what you were talking about before, is really being included.
Yeah, but I don't remember any feeling like that when I was voting in the US. Like I would barely know the issues. Even in California, you would have like Proposition 21 or something like that. You would sort of know about it. And here you'll get a mailing with, there's 4 issues on the vote. The vote's on this date. This is the pros for this. This is the minuses for, the negatives for this, or the cons. And so you go through each topic and you feel much more a part of the process and therefore a part of the community.
Mm-hmm. Have you become more political?
I don't think that we're out there with signs or anything like that, but we're certainly, I don't think we missed a vote.
No, none.
I do feel like I'm more involved that way. And I think if there comes an issue that we feel really strongly about, like our children have actually mentioned it a couple times how they were having a protest or something like that. I think they're probably more likely to jump into something like that. But if there's something we felt strongly about, I would feel completely comfortable
And
being involved.
there's something different here. Like if I do feel strongly enough about something, I could start an initiative, like this whole bike path with the people who go too fast on the scooters. I'm like, just start an initiative about that. Those should not be allowed there.
I guess bottom line, you feel more empowered as an individual here. In the US, I felt like the politicians do everything, and yeah, you get to vote for president or governor or whatever. But here you feel like you can potentially affect change if you wanted to, and that feels good.
You mentioned at the beginning you wanted to be part of Switzerland, part of the society. Does the voting help with that?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And do you feel more like now you are really part, or do you still feel like sometimes like the foreigner?
The only part that I feel where I'm not completely accepted is that I don't speak Swiss German very well. So occasionally, I'll see my neighbors and they'll be talking Swiss German, and I'll come up and they'll speak Hochdeutsch with me or even English. And I'm like, until I get to that point where I can speak Swiss German with them, I'm always going to be like one step removed. Okay. But that's the only thing, as far as the voting and participating in society and feeling like you're a member of the neighborhood and community, I feel pretty well integrated.
Yeah. It feels good. I mean, we people that can take care of our plants and we help them, and it's, we have tea with our neighbors down the street over the weekend.
Yeah,
it feels nice.
Invited to a little thing, and we'll walk our dogs multiple times a day just in the neighborhood. And I would say it's rare that we walk around and we don't see and say hi to somebody that we know. And that wasn't really the case before, especially when we lived, further south in a different town. But when we came here and got to know people and were more involved, and now, and then of course there's the once a year we sort of burnish our name on the neighborhood because we still have a Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh yes, we have a hybrid Thanksgiving, which
we are still Americans, so we do have to celebrate Thanksgiving, and so we invite some of our closer neighbors to come to our house and have a big Thanksgiving.
And actually, it's become a community event. We didn't realize that it was such a desirable event to be invited to.
Oh, we had that
and and it's quite a potluck. So we get all kinds. We get German dishes and Swiss dishes, and our neighbors are Brazilian. And
you get rosti instead of sweet potatoes. Or?
No rosti.
No rosti yet.
Yeah.
No rosti yet.
No, but we actually, I think the German people across the street make like a scalloped
potatoes or something. Yeah, exactly. So, but it's a good community event.
So it's nice. It's like an international affair.
Yeah,
so,
great. Do you have any recommendations when we round up this conversation for people who want to start the process or are in the middle of the process and have not reached the interview phase?
Specific to Switzerland or just in general?
For Switzerland?
In Switzerland.
Yeah.
Who want to do what you did?
Yeah.
Are not there yet.
I think patience, right? It's a process that takes some time, right? Now we did it during COVID, so it took even extra time, but I think it can take quite a while to get the documents and go through, to wait for those things to be processed. So not being frustrated by the time frame it takes is one. And just really immersing yourself in the preparation from my perspective is important.
So for me, the first thing I tell people, even if they're just moving here, not going to apply for citizenship or anything like that, learn some of the language. It helps everything. You don't start soon. You don't have to be a master. You just have to make a bit of an effort. And the people here are usually very patient and gracious. If you start, like I actually still, even though I speak okay German, I'm sorry, Christoph, I don't speak perfect German, but I speak okay German. I still start most of my conversations if I'm talking to a stranger. Es tut mir leid, aber mein Deutsch ist schrecklich. Ich habe eine Frage. Just to let people know it's not my Muttersprache. It's not my main language.
You have a nice Swiss accent, yeah?
Ja, vielen Dank.
It's
Vielen,
good.
Ja, riecha, vertellen zum Ferryman. So, but I think for me, that's the one thing that people can start on, just to learn some of the language, some of the niceties. And actually, when I first came, I think my stated goal, I said to my wife, was to learn enough German to get by and to learn my way around. Okay, so like to just learn, and so I would spend most of the day wandering through the town and figuring out how to get on which tram and which bus. So I felt comfortable in the place and more comfortable speaking. The last thing I would say, which is a different type of thing, is that, and this was before Margaret and I got our citizenship, we weren't feeling as connected, and we were wondering if this was the place for us. Okay, we were like, maybe we should go somewhere else to retire because Switzerland is pretty expensive. And so we actually had looked up a bunch of different places. We actually took a trip somewhere to explore whether or not we should retire there. It's a place with maybe a little bit warmer weather, and the costs were much lower. And we went there, and the people were very nice, and it was really sweet. And we looked at each other and said, I don't want to live there, And the thing was, we realized at that moment, it's like an epiphany. To be comfortable somewhere, you have to make where you are comfortable. You don't just jump somewhere and it becomes comfortable. So that's the only other advice that I would say is, learn some German and then make where you are as comfortable as you can. Get to know your neighbors, help out, volunteer, take some local classes, whatever you enjoy, whatever you like, and that makes it the comfortable place that you want to stay in.
Yeah.
That's a great note to end this conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christoph.
That was one way of becoming Swiss. If you have any question or a message for my guests, leave it in the comments, I'll pass it on. And if you are wondering what your own next step should be, the next step finder will tell you. The link is in the description. Thanks for listening.